You've seen them at Costco and everywhere else, so here's a dietitian's review on FairLife Protein Shake. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to review the very popular Costco classic known as FairLife Protein Shakes. They're technically also known as FairLife Nutrition Plans, so you may hear me saying that as well, but at the end of the day, it's the very popular one that I'm sure you've seen at Costco. In this video, I'm going to dive into their ingredients, let you know whether or not the drink is as impressive as it looks, and let you know if it's worth buying. I'm also going to compare the FairLife Nutrition Plan to the other similar product that some people do get confused, including myself, which is the one I have right here, which is their Core Power. So I'll dive into the ingredients of this one and compare it to the nutrition plan and let you know which one is better or if it makes a difference. But first, hi, my name is Katey. I'm a registered dietitian and certified personal trainer. My goal of this channel is to help you learn more about nutrition, fitness, and wellness so that you can be your best, whatever that looks like. I also love to do product reviews, so if you have any products or topics that you want me to cover, just let me know in the comments below. Okay, so let's get started. What is FairLife Protein Shake? The first thing to know about FairLife is that it is owned by Coca-Cola. Now, while most of us think of Coca-Cola as being a pop or a soda company, they do have a ton of other branches and tons of different products. So for example, they also own the Simply brand that makes orange juice and apple juice, among many other products. So the FairLife Protein Shake, which again is also known as the nutrition plan, I'm just going to call it the protein shake, but this is obviously a protein shake that is high in protein. We're talking a whopping 30 grams of protein per serving. But I'm sure you're wondering if it's actually a healthy and good option. So I'm gonna let you know right now, and let's look at the ingredients. So what ingredients are in FairLife Protein Shake? So if we take a look at the ingredient list that I pulled from Costco, because that's where most people are going to be buying it from, we see that one serving size is an entire bottle that is 375 milliliters or about 11.5 ounces. Per serving, it has about 150 calories, of which majority do come from its protein content. Like I mentioned, it has about 30 grams of protein for the entire bottle. And as a friendly reminder, protein has 4 calories per gram. So if we have 30 grams of protein times 4, that gives us 120 calories solely coming from protein. Then the remaining calories come from a mixture of fat and carbohydrates. We see that it has 2.5 grams of fat, and as a reminder, fat has 9 calories per gram. So 2.5 times 9 gives you 22.5 calories. Finally, it says that it has 4 grams of carbs, but only 2 grams of those carbs are actually sugar, and I don't know if most people know this, but generally speaking, fiber is not considered an actual source of calories because we don't actually fully digest it. So you only have to count 2 of those grams of carbs towards the calories. So 2 grams of carbohydrates times 4 calories per gram gets you 8. So when you total that all up, you get 150 calories. So it makes sense that that's the total in this product. So if we take a look at the ingredient list, we see that the very first ingredient is ultra filtered, partly skimmed, lactose-free milk. So before you get overwhelmed, I'll break that down for you. The first thing is that it is awesome to see that milk is the first and main ingredient. Remember that all ingredient lists go in descending order by weight. So the very first ingredient is the main one in the product. So ultra filtered milk just simply means that they take the milk and they put it through really small filters. First of all, this helps to remove any additional residues, so it helps to prolong shelf life. It also helps to improve the consistency of it, making it a little bit smoother, and it helps to actually concentrate the proteins more, which is why this product is so high in protein compared to just a regular glass of milk, which typically has about 8 to 9 grams of protein. And because it's so concentrated in protein, they don't need to add any additional protein powder. So if you do not like protein powders, whether it's because you just don't like the taste of protein powders or you choose to avoid them, this might be a good option for you. Partly skimmed simply means that some of the fat has been removed. So if you have ever had 1% or 2% milk, then you've had partly skimmed milk before. Lactose-free is pretty self-explanatory, but basically what they do is lactose is a natural sugar that occurs in milk, and some people do have difficulty digesting it. So what they do is they add an enzyme known as lactase, and you can see it in the ingredient list. And so by adding the enzyme lactase, what they're doing is they're taking a lactose molecule, which is basically 2 sugar units together, and separating it into galactose and glucose. And by doing this, it's basically doing the digestion for you. So for people who are lactose intolerant, it means that they don't have sufficient levels of the enzyme lactase to do that breakdown. So basically by adding the enzyme into the product, they break it down for you, and so you won't have those unwanted symptoms. And so it should be tolerated by most people. You'll also notice that vitamin A and vitamin D3 are added. The reason for this is very simple. So because vitamin A and vitamin D are both fat-soluble vitamins, if you take milk and you skim off some of the fat, those fat-soluble vitamins go with it. So in Canada, it is mandated that vitamin A and vitamin D are re-added back into any milk that has been skimmed skimmed. In the US, it isn't mandatory, but it is very common to see. Now, if we go back to the nutrition label, we see that there are a ton of other nutrients in it. And if you go to the ingredient list, you'll notice that there aren't any other added nutrients. So this means that they are naturally occurring. And that's why a lot of people do say that milk is so nutrient dense, because it has a ton of different naturally occurring vitamins and minerals. Beyond this, you'll notice that it will have some form of flavoring. So for example, in the chocolate flavor, it has cocoa, and in the vanilla flavor, it has natural vanilla added to it. In terms of the rest of the ingredients, this is where you might get a little overwhelmed looking at the ingredient list, but don't worry, I will break it down for you and simplify it. So the first ingredient you see is sodium hexametaphosphate. This is added to different food products for a variety of reasons, but for this product, it's likely added as an emulsifier and a stabilizer. This just means that it helps keep the ingredients together and prevent them from separating. Then we see that it has cellulose gum, cellulose gel, maltodextrin, and carrageenan. And these are all added for very similar reasons as well. Again, it's likely added to improve the consistency of the product, helping it be smooth and not overly grainy. And they may also slightly act as emulsifiers as well. Then we see that it has a variety of different sweeteners added to it. So we see that it has ACE K or acesulfame K, sucralose, stevia, and monk fruit extract. First and foremost, there are two different types of sweeteners. We have artificial sweeteners and naturally derived sweeteners. So stevia and monk fruit extract are naturally derived sweeteners. This means that they come from a plant source. With ACE K and sucralose, these are considered artificial sweeteners, meaning that they are synthetically made. All four of these ingredients are very, very commonly found in so many different food products. The reason they add these sweeteners is very straightforward. It's just to sweeten the product and improve the overall taste. In order for the product to be low in sugar, they have to find something else to compensate for the flavor that's going to be lost by removing sugar or by not adding sugar. And so by adding these sweeteners in, they don't have to add any sugar, it contributes to sweetness, and there are no additional calories. Now with these, all of them are considered safe for consumption, but some people do have concerns with artificial sweeteners in particular, so I just wanted to talk about that briefly. The first thing is that I really appreciate that FairLife provides the amount of ACE K and sucralose that they add to the product, because this helps to increase consumer awareness and let people know what they are actually taking in. So first and foremost, it's important to understand that we actually do have an acceptable daily limit for ACE K and sucralose. This means as long as you consume under this amount, there shouldn't be any negative adverse effects. And to be honest, even if you had a little bit over that, these limits are set in place very conservatively, so really to make sure that there are no adverse effects for anyone who consumes them. With that being said, the ADI, or the acceptable daily intake for ACE K, is 15 milligrams per kilogram per day, and for sucralose, it is 5 milligrams per kilogram per day. So as an example, let's say you weigh 175 pounds or about 80 kilograms. This means that the ADI for ACE K for somebody who is about 80 kilograms would be around 1200 milligrams a day. The ADI for sucralose for someone who is about 80 kilograms a day is 400 milligrams. So those are pretty high amounts. And if we take a look at the product, we see that the amount added is significantly lower than this. And if we did the math, the amount of ACE K that is in the FairLife product is 6.4% the ADI, so very, very low, and even lower for sucralose at about 1.1% the ADI. So considering how low of an amount they actually add, it's not something that I personally would be overly concerned about, but again, that's a personal choice. And that's it for ingredients. Overall, I'd say that the ingredient list is relatively simple, and I would say that the ingredients that they do add do make sense for the product. I will say I don't love necessarily when companies add a ton of sweeteners to it. I don't necessarily think that we need to get used to having such a high sweetness profile in terms of our taste preferences, but I do understand why they do it, especially because for a lot of people, they're going to associate this with like a chocolate or a vanilla milk. So I understand why they're adding it. Also, I just wanted to point out that please remember that at the end of the day, this is still a processed product. And so whether you have a protein powder or you have this, it is still processed at the end of the day. So it's not going to be the exact same as you having a whole food such as regular milk. Okay, so how does this compare to Core Power? Honestly, I was pretty confused at the difference at first. I didn't even realize they had two different products until I really started looking into it. So I do have the actual bottle for Core Power here. And the one thing to note is this is not the one that you're going to find at Costco. The one that you're going to find at Costco is the nutrition plan version. And they're very similar, but they do slightly differ in terms of their nutrient composition, which I will go over. I bought this one at Walmart, and I don't believe it is available at Costco, so that's just one thing to note as well. So like I mentioned, if we take a look at the nutrition label, it is slightly different than the nutrition plan version that we just previously talked about. First of all, it is slightly higher in calories and a little bit lower in protein. According to the nutrition label, it has 170 calories per serving, and it has 25 grams of protein. When I take a look at the calorie difference and the macronutrients in it, I can basically tell that the difference in the calories comes from the fat and the carbohydrate content. The fat content is about 4.5 grams of fat compared to the 2.5 grams of fat in the nutrition plan version, so it has a little bit more. It also has a little bit higher amount of carbohydrates, which also will contribute to calories as well. Either way, the differences in macronutrient composition aren't absolutely massive and something I'm overly concerned about. Now, according to their website, the main difference between the Core Power and the nutrition plan is that the Core Power is intended to consume post-workout, while the nutrition plan is really just for an extra snack. To be honest, I don't really think it makes that big of a difference. Yes, the Core Power has some additional carbohydrates. It's nothing dramatic, so it could help a little bit post-workout, but I think either or would be a good option. But beyond that, the ingredient list is pretty similar to the nutrition plan one, and I'd say both are decent options. But the downside of the Core Power one is, at least at the Costco's I've been to and on the website, it's not available. The nutrition plan one is available at Costco, so you can buy it in bulk, so it's going to be a lot cheaper. Okay, so I did want to touch base on a question you may have, which is why are they not refrigerated? So you may wonder why you can buy these at room temperature and they're not in any refrigerator at Costco or the grocery store. And the answer for this is pretty straightforward as well. So what they do with the milk is they put it through what's known as ultra high temperature pasteurization, which kills off any bacteria that could cause spoilage and ultimately extends its shelf life and allows it to be shelf stable. In addition to this, after undergoing this type of pasteurization, the milk is then added to aseptic containers or bottles. And so because of that, they can stay on the shelf without spoiling. But once you open them, you do need to refrigerate them. And to be honest, I would argue that I would refrigerate them solely for the fact that they're probably going to taste a lot better. I did get to try, obviously it's opened, but I did get to try the Core Power, and I thought I wouldn't like it because I'm not the biggest chocolate milk person and I'm not the biggest artificial sweetener person either. I usually can taste it, but I will say that this wasn't bad. Would I have it every day? No, but the texture is really nice and it tastes like a really creamy chocolate milk. So if you like that and you grew up with something like this, you would probably enjoy this product. Okay, so how much does it cost? Obviously the cost depends on where you come from, but I'll talk about the Costco prices mainly, and then I'll talk about the Core Power that I bought in terms of this price at Walmart. So according to Costco Canada's website, it costs $49.99 for a case of 18. So this equates to about $2.77 Canadian per serving, which obviously will be a little bit lower if you buy it from the States. However, I know for a fact that if you go into Costco, it is a lot cheaper. I've seen lower than $40, but the most recent one seems to be about $42.99 for a pack of 18. So that brings it down to $2.38 Canadian per serving. But of course, it can be cheaper if you bought it on sale or it's cheaper at the location you're purchasing it from. Now for this Core Power that I bought at Walmart, it was $3.97. So this is on the higher end of the price range, especially for just one bottle. While that is more expensive, the upside is that at least you can try the product before buying the big bulk size that you have to at Costco. Again, this is the Core Power, so it is slightly different, but I would argue that it's relatively similar and shouldn't be that much more or different in price compared to the nutrition plan one. But either way, if you bought the nutrition plan one at Walmart as well, it's probably similar in price. And again, the benefit of at least trying it first is that you're not spending like almost $50 on a case and can decide if you like it. If you do decide that you like it, then it would definitely be more economical to get it from Costco. If we compare that to the cost of a protein powders are definitely usually cheaper. I would say that a good and decent protein powder usually ranges between $1 to $2 per serving, give or take. So this product is definitely more expensive, but you're also paying for a more expensive ingredient, which is milk. And typically people actually add milk to their protein powders at home. So you're paying for that more expensive ingredient, but you're also paying for the processing, the marketing, and everything else that goes into the product. The benefit of purchasing these though is that it's already pre-made. There's no prep. You don't have to put it in a shaker bottle. You don't have to add any liquid and shake it up. You can just purchase it, open it, and drink it and go on with your day. So that is an upside and you will obviously be paying for that. Okay, so do I recommend FairLife Protein Shake? Overall, I think that the FairLife Protein Shakes, whichever one you buy, are pretty decent options. In particular, it would be a really good option for somebody who's trying to get an extra protein during the day and they don't want to consume a protein powder. With that being said, I can certainly live without all the added sweeteners. It does make the product taste pretty good, but you don't necessarily need them. However, it does decrease the sugar that's in the product, so it just depends on what you're looking for. One thing I do want you to do though is when you are looking at a product like this, you need to kind of look at it as a protein powder. And what I mean by this is look at it as a processed product. It is not a whole whole food, it is not in its natural form, and it is processed at the end of the day. Does that mean it's bad for you? No, it can be a really nutritious option, but it's still processed, and so doing an apples to apples comparison with things like regular milk probably wouldn't be the best idea because they are different. So with that, I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any other products or topics you want me to cover, and if you did enjoy this video, I would love it if you would like and subscribe to my channel because your support helps me reach more people like you. And I'll see you in the next video.